My name is Jim de Goede. I'm the manager of restaurant Firma Spijkervet. It's a restaurant in Amsterdam, in the western part of Amsterdam. Myself, when I ask people, would you like some honey with your tea, then I always tell that it's local Amsterdam honey, and then a lot of people are surprised because they don't get to eat Amsterdam local honey very often. So, but people like it, yeah. This guy named Oscar, he approached us, I think, 2 years ago. He told us about him making honey on the roof just a couple hundred meters up ahead.
What I'm doing, I'm a beekeeper in Amsterdam, and I've got bees on the roof here, in the park and in the Amsterdamse bos. I think the Amsterdam beekeepers only produce maybe 5% of what Amsterdam is using, so still 95% of the honey used in Amsterdam is being imported from the rest of the Netherlands or the European Union or the rest of the world. There are about 1,000 colonies of honeybees in Amsterdam, so there's more honeybees than people. We have to be careful that we don't put too many bee colonies in the city, because then there could be a problem that there won't be enough food for all of the bee colonies. In September I checked if they still had enough honey. Some hives I had to give some extra sugar water. There's some discussion between beekeepers. Should you harvest all the honey, a bit of honey, or none? And I'm somewhere in between.
I started beekeeping 7 years ago, and because I was always interested in how a hive of bees were working, how they work together, how they collect honey, how they make honey, and so I start participating in a course, in a beekeeper's course. Well, as a beekeeper, this is my working place. Here are the hives. I like to experiment with different kinds of hives and things. So this is the model they use in Africa a lot. And for observation purposes, I made some glass out of here, so you can, although it's winter time, you can still see the hives. I get about between 15 and 20 kilo per hive, because I leave some honey for the bees themselves as well. So I don't take it all. Urban beekeeping is a lot better even for the bees than putting in the countryside, because it's monoculture. Well, there's no flowers at all. They say, well, for the bees nowadays it's a lot better in the city than in the countryside. People like my honey a lot, and well, in 4-5 weeks I'm sold out.
My name is Edith Kroon, and I'm a beekeeper with the Leiden Beekeeper Association. The bees here are all buckfast bees, and that's because they are the most gentle type of bees, so for our students that's very nice. Less risk of being stung. They're also very active type of bee, so they produce a good quantity of honey, so that's very nice. And they're most active during the summer, of course, when the days are long and there's a lot of sun. If it's too cold, they won't fly.
So I'm now checking the hive, whether there is still enough food. It's winter time, so there's still some honey over here and here. So it's not necessary to give them additional sugar. So this hive is okay. It's no problem. It's in good health.
So my name is Anne Doherty, and I am a beekeeper and an urban farmer, and I've been doing this for about 4 or 5 years now. I work with an urban farming organization. We have an educational garden here where we teach people to grow food, and we have bees as well on the other side of the garden. It seems like it's a really good place for them. The people in the garden are really supportive, so they, they'll walk by and they have lots of questions and they want to know about the honey and they want to know how the bees are doing. And so we regularly do sort of tours for them. We'll do an evening workshop where we explain what flowers they should be planting in their garden and how they can make the environment better for the bees. There's so many people interested in saving bees right now, but they don't all need to actually have their own hive, I think. Maybe it's more important just to make sure that there's food for bees, and you can easily do that on your balcony, on your little, geveltuin in front of your house. They love any kind of herb that's gone to flower as well. We're not feeding them sugar water unless it's a period where there's nothing to eat in the garden. There are periods where there's not a lot in bloom. And we're only taking honey out if it's clear to us that it's excess, if they're not going to be able to eat it up over the winter. They're very evolved. They're highly evolved, and that's why I think it happens to a lot of beekeepers where you start up like, yeah, we gotta exploit them for the honey. But then when you're learning more about them and how incredibly evolved they are, you think maybe it's just better to let them do their thing and support them in doing that. And just forget about the honey. That's an added bonus to beekeeping if there's honey at the end.